special meeting of the Cable Advisory Board with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. I am going to pass the minutes from our earlier this month meeting, because we will do that in March. And this is a special meeting. So unless somebody would like to have a review of the minutes of the meeting we had a week ago, we'll just move forward on that and review those minutes with the minutes of tonight in March. Because our meeting tonight is really to focus on the letter that was sent by Attorney Hewitt following our meeting with him. And he's made a nice, long list for us to consider, and you have the opportunity to add. But I'd like to just say at the beginning that we do not have to add everything we can possibly think of. I think this is, that would not be in our best interest. And I've asked Renee, since he's been involved in pulling this together, and Bob, clearly, they've done a super job in putting together the document that the attorney has pulled from. If both of you would lead a conversation, meaning pulling everything that people have in their mind that they'd like to add. And John, that includes you, and Valerie, if you have subjects. And I'm just going to sit here and listen, see what we do. And hopefully we'll be able to agree on what we have, either from the attorney or in addition to that, and have a vote so that this letter then can be forwarded. The letter also includes a date for our open meeting, which then we'll talk about after we finish. The negotiations are clearly the most important, and I'm very impressed we're this far along.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're in really good
so
shape.
go creative.
Okay, all of you have a copy of the letter. I think, as Irene said, I think we have a good start, at least in terms of the work that we've done so far. And Attorney Hewitt has been right there in terms of taking our initial proposal, our final proposal that we sent to the select board, and kind of pulled off of that to create nine bullet points of the summary of our needs and our asks. And I think, last time we met, we actually spoke about a few additional things that maybe we wanted to include on this letter. As Irene said, I don't think we want to go too crazy with what we're asking, and really be realistic in terms of asking for things that potentially we'll get, right? I don't think we can, ask for free cable for everybody, and like those kinds of things are just not possible. But be great in this world, but that's not the way things work. So in terms of the things that I picked up on, and I think Steve actually brought a couple of these things to light, which when you're going through this, you don't necessarily think about everything, right? So there was something about a programming guide, I think you had mentioned, Steve, and then you had a couple other things, and I think we bounced that around in terms of asks. You guys specifically have anything you want to add other than the programming guide?
That's not a paper publication, just because we're being recorded tonight. That's tied to the...
No, that's actually something, the programming guide, when you go on your remote, that lists the channels, right, and lists what's on. We can potentially put that in as an ask. I don't know if they'll respond.
Would it be like a separate channel?
We have that.
It's on there, yeah.
Okay, what we got, would that be a separate channel? Like
Yeah, it's
someone would have like
Electronic
Number
program
six.
guide, that's
Yeah.
bullet point number 6, okay.
be like a separate channel where it'll be just a listing of everything.
Yeah, it's usually
Yeah.
like on 2, it's a scroll,
You're right,
right?
scroll,
The scroll kind where it says what's on,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
or at least what channel, and then is there a scroll now? I don't know if there was.
Not for a channel, it just says local local access channel.
Local
Oh.
access.
Doesn't say what's on it.
Yeah.
It can do that?
We hope so.
Well, I would imagine it would say you're watching the local access.
Well, yeah,
channel.
but I guess it already does.
Yeah, we're trying to get it expanded so people can see the programming, whether, if we're gonna do it, however we gotta get it, website or something, just so people know where they can find programs. 'Cause
Well,
You're
web-
referring
yeah,
to an
website.
actual program guide. Like
Guide.
tonight on the channel, on the access channel is.
Board of Selectmen.
Right,
yeah,
whatever's coming up, so they know,
Yeah.
because nobody has an idea now.
Yeah, I don't know how that's done through the cable. I don't know how they do it.
Well, if they could put it on the program guide, that'd be great, but is it gonna create more work for our people? I mean, we gotta figure that out.
But, website can be on, and it can be on the channel, like what I'm doing now on 192. Like between every other show or whatever, it comes up in the next program, the next 10 programs.
Yeah.
And then on the web, and then it's on the website
And
too.
that's pretty immediate, that's. right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's generated from the server. So if I make a change, it's shown,
Yeah.
right, so it's up to the minute.
Because many years ago, there used to be a scroll, I think, in between programs, it would tell you what's coming up, it would
Well,
show the
that's,
whole day
yeah,
thing.
it's only able to do it on with the server that we have now. You're not able to do it, but we will with the new one.
There you go.
I only had, I think the list is fine. I wouldn't make it longer than 10, but I picked up on a comment that Valerie sent around. If we ask in here for 3 HD channels and we know we're not gonna get those. They don't, Comcast doesn't, or.
Special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Charter doesn't give out community HD channels for anyone. And then she made a point about if we don't get HD channels, whether or not we should ask for an additional channel.
Right.
And I think we could say 3 HD channels, comma, if no HD channel, then an additional channel. Because right now, your programming is filled
It's full, yeah.
on all of the channels or on one?
Well, the government channel.
On the government
yeah.
channel.
So is that usually the case? Are you usually jam-packed with programming, or is that
Oh,
something
yes, we have
like
20
during budget
plus
season?
committee meetings a month. I run them once or twice a day, different times, and they're run back to back, which isn't a really good thing because things are starting, we've done that just to get everything on. And then when there's a live show, a live meeting, there's no playback. And if I don't do a big enough window, then the program's scheduled, if I have 6 to 8, and it runs, the live meeting runs 6 to 8:30, if I don't leave a big enough
Then it
window,
bumps,
then it bumps.
Yeah.
And then if I leave too much of a window, then it's short, then I go in and I gotta add something, so, yeah, I don't know how I'd run another government channel, but it would be overflow, for anything, overflow.
Right.
The only issue we might have is just the servers, I think only allow 3.
I
Yeah.
just wonder in terms of management.
But you can get another one, I think, can't you? Isn't it, add,
So you
I know the
usually, do you-
electronics one you could
add
add, you could probably add more, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's a realistic ask even to ask for, we can certainly ask and see what happens. I'd like to try to at least be a little bit forceful with Charter. I know, Attorney Hewitt says nobody's doing it or nobody's done it. That doesn't mean that it can't be done, and we can't be the first.
Right.
Yeah,
So I do know in Fall River, they did sign the contract and they did get 1 HD channel. Not 3,
oh,
but 1. And we have to share it, like across the board. So public access, government access, and educational access have to work out the schedule. And that's not an easy thing to do, but obviously the meetings, the council, select board, those meetings are gonna take priority on the HD channel. And then, probably the educational stuff would happen. So, I'd like to push for it, and, I kinda added 3 HD channels to replace existing SD PEG channels. But we can add what your suggestion, and maybe you know, I think Attorney Uke's gonna come back and he's gonna say, oh, well, they might not do that anyway. I think we're gonna have a counteroffer, right?
Yeah, it's a fallback.
He did say when he went through this list, you know, they're not doing senior discounts. They're not doing, but it's on the list. And my question would be, the way that they're presented, do we see it as a priority, 1, 2, 3, 4? Or is this a list that came right out of the report?
Wish list, yeah.
Because if we're going to add something, we have to also decide if it fits in a priority ranking. My sense is that this was, and I didn't really go back to confirm this, so please disagree if I'm wrong, but this is just the items he took out of the contract. If you think we should have a priority, but it's all up for negotiation, correct?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think while we can look at this and we can say, you know, bullet point number 2, the 4% gross annual revenue, for you guys, that's kind of a priority to get the bullet points 2 and 3. That's, you know, incremental monies for you guys. So those really are at the top of the list. The HD channels are at the top of the list. I mean, it's not sorted in terms of priority, but when you read it and look through it.
But bottom line, we want this to continue
What's really
to,
important
yeah.
is 2, 3, and 4.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, maybe don't put numbers.
So,
Just put them.
Don't say too much negotiations in public, because they'll be watching our meeting.
well, yeah, exactly. But I do think, you know, and we can change it if you guys think we don't want to use numbers. We can, because Attorney Ewing said we can alter this, right?
They're gonna come back with a counter anyway, so
Right.
that's when we gotta get a little tougher.
this is the first push out, and there'll be a pushback, and we will have an open meeting in March,
Right.
which we'll talk about, and something will happen after that. If we can get a good turnout, a significant number of people, that will help the attorney. But it's basically going to boil down to whether Charter wants to get this resolved. And I do want us to remember that the attorney said, if you can do it by June, do it. You know, don't make it so that you're going to drag this on. And I know you told me in Fall River you had to wait.
Took
So, you know,
3+
this is,
years.
so,
And that potentially is a danger because they're not obligated to pay the capital monies after the license is expired.
yeah.
So, you know, but going through this list, and I think maybe we just go through it, each bullet point you know, and, you know, the 10-year license, Attorney Ewing said they're not gonna go for anything less than a 10-year license, so I think that's a given. The 4% gross annual revenue, I mean, the max is 5. We asked the select board for 4, and I think we have to own that and stay with that, unless we want to go back and ask for the additional percent. But I think incrementally, when you look at the amount of subscribers and the total revenue, I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker for you guys. I think the capital improvements, the bullet point number 3, though that's a solid ask, and I think, you know, Attorney Ewing agreed that we'll see. We shouldn't have an issue with that.
He didn't push back on that at all, which I'm really pleased.
Yep. Bullet point number 4, you know, as I said, the 3 HD channels to replace the existing SD PEG channels. The question with that now becomes, and this is kind of an assessment, you know, of people who watch cable TV. Most people have cable boxes and watch HD channels. If we eliminate the SD channels, that means people potentially without cable boxes might not be able to see the meetings, right?
Well, they have to have cable they have to have,
You can't get it.
Well, they have a DTA, right? They have a digital
oh,
box.
I don't know, I have a
Yeah,
cable,
you have to have a box. You
Yeah,
can't go any other way.
Right.
because they charge you for each TV now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not like it used to be.
How about along those lines, would that be a different tier? Would that still be basic cable if,
No, I think it would still be basic cable. It would probably be up in the hundreds or whatever.
A question, while we're on kind of that, a question came up on the last meeting that I watched. I sent everybody about 9 minutes in that we are digital. It was September 2013.
Yeah,
so
thank you
people
for
didn't know.
noting that.
Yeah.
And,
So that's when they took the analog channels, they get more bandwidth, as I've talked about in my other writings, you know, so that they've, you know, split up the bandwidth. They recover, and there's more analog than there is, you know, the digital, so they have a lot of bandwidth now because they split up that analog.
Yeah, and all of the boxes are digital boxes,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that would make sense. Okay, so, the courtesy, bullet point number 5, the for courtesy account cable converters to monitor programming, I think that might need to be revised, because don't you currently have boxes,
You have to rent.
courtesy accounts?
There are 4, there's one here and one at the town
Oh, that's
hall,
nice.
and one upstairs in the lunchroom and one downstairs in the lunchroom. So it's not real, it's really for employee, it's not to monitor channels, really. I mean, well, and I don't even know if it's still active up there, because I never go, like, he could run upstairs to check it if my office is locked. But in here, if the office is locked, there's no way to monitor
Do
it.
you use them here?
I use my, yeah, the
You
ones in
use
the town
yours.
hall and everything, yeah. But the
Okay.
ones that are in the cafeteria lounges, the employee
Are
lounges are
those
not,
ours?
yeah, they're ours.
And you pay
I-
like $5 a month?
No, they're
for those?
complimentary.
Complimentary, okay.
And I have 2 at the school that I do not use.
At what
At the new
school?
school?
The old school, because there's no cable.
Yeah.
Right, so do you want?
Well, you
them
monitor them
moved?
now, because it's
So-
still, we're still playing from there. So you check
John,
them out
is that a
there.
So I
concern?
guess the question is, do
Right.
you want
Yes
them
and no,
moved to
like,
the
I
new
don't-
school?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, because I'm never in,
Yeah,
I
we need
don't,
them at the new school.
I'm never in the old school.
Right, but do
Yep.
you want them moved to the new
Mhm.
school? I think we should,
Mhm.
okay. So you have a total of 6 then, 4 here? And the ones here are fine,
Yes.
okay.
I'll have to check the one upstairs, I know the one in the lounge over there works.
And is there one over at Town Hall too, or?
That's, yeah, there's one in the select office, and then the one in
Lounge.
the lounge, in the basement.
So is that an addition?
No, that's the 4 that
Are we gonna ask for 2 more?
well, we got 2 more.
I'm
But-
gonna
but they're at
put-
the school,
I'm
they're at
gonna
the
put on
old school.
bullet point 5,
Change it to 6.
relocate
Okay,
the
all right, that's the
two,
word.
2
Okay.
cable boxes at the old school
Yeah.
to the new school.
So you could cross that out or put continue the complimentary boxes, because,
I'll put continue.
yeah.
Yeah, I try to get more before less. Do you use those at all for town meeting or anything? The ones at the old high school? For town meetings?
Well, we did the town meeting at the new school last year, but
That's right.
if I kept my 2, I would keep one in that auditorium.
Right, yeah, it was.
Just in case for that reason, yeah.
Right.
And where's your pub room or whatever, near the studio?
I would
Where
put
the server was
this,
gonna be,
yes, that's where the other
so that's
one
where
would
you'd
go.
need them.
Yeah, I
And
don't
maybe
want- I don't
one in
want
the
it.
gym?
I don't want
In the
my-
gym?
No,
No?
no,
All right. Just because we don't know what's going on with that school yet, I'd hate to rip everything out of it
yeah,
in case we utilize it.
yep.
The electronic program guide,
We touched base on that.
yep, and they may want clarification on what specifically we want, but let them come back and.
But that'll come in
discuss that.
conversations, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Yep. And then bullet point number 7 is the senior discount. We think that's probably not attainable.
Gloria had submitted online, because she has another commitment tonight, how about low-income discounts adding? But I think senior discounts is an important place to start going, below that gets, I think, too complicated at this point. So I appreciate her concern, but
Yeah, I think,
he encouraged us to understand it probably isn't going to happen, which is really a shame, but it's also a big part of their market. So.
Some seniors could be rich, though.
I wonder if the low income.
Well, what
might
they're doing-
merit to ask though, because there are parts of
It's
Westport that are certainly
Yeah.
low income.
I think with internet they're doing it, I think it was some kind of federal regulation popped up on that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That low-income internet service they have to provide. We can check into that. It's part
If
of the
we-
senior discount thing.
If we agree, we certainly can add low income, and it clarifies that the point of this is to address people
Right.
who have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with, instead of just senior discount, low income
Low
senior.
income. That's a general,
Are we
Covers
agreed
everybody.
that we're comfortable adding low
It's a little,
income
it's
to
a little
that?
tougher
Yeah.
to prove, or more paperwork
Yes.
probably, but,
yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you consider low income?
Yeah, they probably have to fill out something that they make below a certain threshold, but let's see what they come back with.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Bullet point 8 is reopen customer service center on Gifford Road. And I think Attorney Ewig said, or establish a payment drop-off center.
Third party somewhere like.
Third party.
Yeah.
But that could be part of his conversation if they begin to throw some of these away, unless you feel we need to be more specific about what we want. We want something local.
Well, yeah, because if you're called to drop off your box, they tell you you're gonna bring it to Worcester, or they'll mail you something, so, before.
Well, right
you
now,
go-
how they work it is, when they replace my modem,
Yeah,
Do
you
we-
call them, they ship it overnight from out of upstate New York by FedEx, and they send you a return box.
oh, yeah, that's what it is, the return box, yeah.
So in about 2 days, you can get a modem or a box by them, just by calling them.
This is about having service accessible. I know John was dealing with problems about getting repairs because people were so far away.
Yeah.
So we need to be clear whether we're saying this is about service or it's about payment, access to payment or something. My sense was you could put something in the mail, but you can't get a technician, and that's what people are really
Well,
looking
the
for.
service center was open limited days, and it was fairly busy. 'Cause I had to exchange some boxes and help people get them. Some of residents would be turning them in and then getting them, so it was fairly busy on Saturdays.
And payments, I guess they need payments.
And payments too, yeah, so they can shut you off.
Right. A customer service center would really be for payments and for exchanging
Exchanges,
equipment.
yeah. But they were having problems staffing it at the end, and that was before COVID, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were sending people in from Worcester to work.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of those companies have regionalized, so,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, do we want to leave it the way it's written? Do we want to add or establish a third-party payment and drop-off center? I mean, most people pay online and
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
we, I
Maybe
think
we
we.
just leave it the
I think
way it
we
is.
should, because I think customer service is really what we are asking about, some way that people can get access. That's been a constant concern on the complaints where people
I mean,
don't.
if I were them, I'd come back with a service truck that might show up on a Saturday, 8 to 12, even if it's from Worcester.
Yeah,
A large van-type vehicle that you could change boxes in and all that good stuff.
yeah,
So
they
it's
probably haven't
remote.
thought of that idea, right?
Yeah, well, some companies do it, but I don't know about them.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think 8 and 9 are gonna be, you
Yeah.
know, hard to kind of qualify, but
But they're all important, so at least it allows the attorney to bring them up and for us to expect an
know,
answer. Because I would assume that by sending this with some space, we can ask for some answers. If they're saying no, we're saying why.
Sorry.
But, and maybe that's an add-on. We want
Okay.
to talk to the
Maybe
attorney.
add on to number 9, infrastructure maintenance. You know, meet in industry standards for infrastructure, like the head-in station, the equipment. Most of your cable lines here are 20 to 30 years old. They have a lot of leakage. Have them bring everything up to standards. A commitment to improve the infrastructure, the equipment of the head-in station, that they replaced about 3 years ago. And most of the cable is known to have a lot of RF leakage, which is radio frequency. In other words, the signal is leaking out of the cable.
Yeah.
So when people are getting, while they go out, they're losing a portion of the signal is going out to the air, out in the air. Also, it's the reverse, say like around a police station or a business has got radios or radio equipment or produces electronic signals. it picks it up, and that's where you have interference on your cable. It's a two-way street. You have leakage going out, and you have signal coming in through that leakage. Just an infrastructure, industry standards to meet.
Renee, can we add industry standard to that sentence in a way that it doesn't drag the sentence, you know? We don't want to have two focuses in one,
Yeah, I
in one
almost think that it
sentence.
might need to be another bullet point,
Yeah,
because.
bullet point.
Because you have number 9 is a written commitment to quicker response time to outages.
How about industry standard response times? Take quicker road.
I think Don was referring to technical specifications.
Specification of equipment,
of-
and how
of
they
the
send out the
I'm
signal,
talking about the
the
cable.
quality of the signal
Yeah.
going out.
Yeah, so,
To meet whatever the industry standards are, they may not be meeting them.
yeah, and how do you prove that? They,
Okay,
John,
just
if
for the
we add
linkage,
that, we
they
have to add it.
They have to file every
Yeah,
year with the
yeah.
FCC, there's a FCC requirement, they have to test
Yep.
all the lines. See if they're doing it, and give us the report that they give the FCC, the yearly report. Just that we know they're doing their job.
So maybe that, that winds up being, let me see, provide written documentation.
Right. They're meeting industry standards of the cable as required by the FCC.
Technical specifications.
As required by the FCC regulations.
While Renee types this out or puts it in the computer, are there any other thoughts that we need to consider adding to this list? And John, I want to really focus on, do you have technical additions that we haven't talked about?
Not really to put into not into this proposal. I do have technical things, but I don't think it should go into here.
That they would supply as part of the agreement? Because, again, we don't want to expand this, and I want to get it so that we can see it and vote on it in a
Yeah, so
short time.
what
But
I
if
do
it's
need is
pieces-
minimal, so I don't want to add that to this
Nothing,
list.
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
not minimal, but it's not worthy of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issues that you're having with them probably just need to be dealt with directly with them and
Simple solution. You just have to do it.
respond to it. I want to jump back to number 9, the written commitment to quicker response time to outages. I mean, quicker is one of those terms, right? If you live out in the Midwest, quick can mean, you've been out west, right? Quick can mean like a couple days.
Right, when the pony arrives.
Yeah, so I almost wonder if that's like just very vague, that term, and,
Is that an issue right now?
It's a very open word, quicker.
it
if we
depends
want-
it really depends on a couple things, like, if somebody's cable goes out, how quickly does Charter respond? That's what this refers to, right?
Is timely a word
I
that
think-
would work? I mean, timely still is
Timely
open-ended,
still-
but
It's one of, what's timely to me.
in your
might be
lifetime,
timely
something
to
like
you.
It's like,
that.
I mean, 20, I think we gotta qualify it with a number.
Steve, what do you think is a reasonable amount of time that a company should be expected to respond to an outage?
Well, if it's our outage, it should be a priority. Reasonable time? I would say probably within 2 hours, but but if it's like a weather event, they got all kinds of excuses.
Right.
Right.
So to be honest with you, they haven't been totally bad lately. They send out a little text that the cable's out, will be back up, and they give you a time. So it hasn't been as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
That recent system works
Yeah,
great.
and what do you mean by an outage? Now, obviously, if the entire town goes down.
Right.
That's different than if my cable goes
Right.
down.
Well, did anybody get copy of this? It was sent to Jim Hotnet, and there was one in my box, so I don't know if he made copies. But it has to do with, please find attached Charter Communications annual complaint form if you have any questions. And it says on the back, I was just looking, average resolution time, less than a day, 1 to 3 days, 4 to 7 days, and so this is only one complaint on this, but if you want to analyze it. If you can,
Maybe if we took out quicker and just talked about a written commitment response, because they're doing that with text right now, but at least it affirms that
Yeah,
people
they
need to
send-
hear.
Send you out an email and a text. Maybe a phone call too, I don't know.
So this is a complaint form that Charter received regarding Westport's
Yeah.
complaints. And there, according to this, there's been one billing complaint in 2022.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah. Either they're doing a bad job keeping
But-
up with it. A lot of people call up to.
But
try
it
to-
could be a complaint to the Mass Cable
Yes, yeah.
Association,
Yeah.
Okay.
who went through the effort to actually file the complaint
Yeah.
versus, I hate you guys on the phone.
oh, yeah,
You
official.
know?
Ano- We should ask, maybe another bullet point, list of the complaints they receive from us on a yearly basis, or every 6 months or so, to the cable, to the selectmen or the cable committee
Just-
from Charter.
I think
to
they
send us
did
a
that
summary?
very well, like-
Yeah, a summary of
Yeah.
complaints they
That's-
receive.
Because we have a form on our
I
website,
know,
which,
we have the form, but
Yeah.
when they receive it,
yeah.
they have to must have keep a record of it, whatever call center it goes to.
Well, maybe number 9 is really about responding, informing the Cable Advisory Board about concerns. I'm trying to include complaints and outages, customer concerns. Maybe what we want is what Don's saying here. We want to hear from them on some kind of a regular basis. Because the
Communicating.
issues of a text is working for customers, but we don't really know unless we dig it out.
Quarterly
So
report of
so maybe that's what
Quarterly
that's all
report from
about.
Charter, spectrum
Yeah.
of customer complaints received
Right. On outages.
on outages, service.
So take that line out completely and just put quarterly
Well,
report
it's,
of.
it's about written response to customer concerns and outages, or customer complaints and outages. But the time on it is what I'm hesitant. How should we say quicker doesn't do it. Timely doesn't really do it.
No,
Within a,
Yeah. Like I was saying, we should get quarterly. So
Yeah,
it-
yeah.
Outage, time of response.
Quarterly, so I'll add to that.
Outage, response, and complaints.
right,
And
outage response.
Also, if you say, do you want a communication of if they currently have a big area, like get a text or an email that says, currently have a major outage in Northwestport.
They do that now.
They do that?
They do, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you
Because my
got
mother's
that?
went out this weekend, just before the game, she was nervous.
So.
Somebody needs to repeat it so that
quarterly
Renee is
report
putting
of
it in.
Outages
Outages.
and response times.
Outages, response time, and complaints.
Okay. On a quarterly basis.
I would say quarterly, so
Yeah.
it keeps them on their toes.
Yeah, and again, this is a negotiation, so they can deal with whatever time frame seems to make sense.
If you ask biannually or whatever, they're gonna say they fixed it months down the line. If it's quarterly, you can show, why wasn't it fixed by the next quarter?
Also, we should ask them, like, I got this thing about my modem.
What-
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
They,
that last.
they send these out to people.
What I'd
and
like to
get a
do,
response.
what I'd like to do is ask if we have any more,
Oh,
because
we can
I'd like us
respond.
to approve this so we can get back to it.
Yep.
So Sharon, you've
Can you
been
call them?
Could you mention it?
putting things into the computer, right? You have something, and Renee's been doing it, and what I think we need to do is to print either Sharon's version. Have you been writing down additions?
I've been writing things, but I have a question about 4 and 5.
Okay, well, Renee, if you feel like you have it, then we could send it to Valerie, you could print here, right? I'm not sure whether Renee's if we could produce the revisions,
Oh,
and we can print it, everyone can see it, and we can vote on it.
Oh, right now, tonight?
Yeah, I'm talking advanced technology.
We could actually vote.
Is this possible,
We can vote
folks?
subject to our revisions. We don't have to actually see it.
Okay.
As long as she goes over the list and what's coming, we get it
If
done.
everyone's comfortable with that, then that's what I'd like to note, is there's no other additions to our list, then the revisions that we've made is for number 9?
Yeah, just change 9 to a sponsor.
Add low discount to the senior discount.
Yeah, do you want to, I actually made the changes right on
Oh, you did?
Attorney
Okay.
Ewig's letter.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to send this to you and we can?
Valerie,
figure it
if he
out?
sends it to, or John, can either of you print here? So we
Yeah, I
have,
think yeah.
if we can't, we'll just
You
have to
email-
read it.
like, email it to me and I can.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
Renee, what did you put for 4?
So for 4, it says 3 HD channels to replace SD PEG channels.
Or an additional channel.
Or an additional,
Standard channel.
Now, what is the third channel? Because if you walk it, it's got 90, 90, 91, but 92, 93 is always Worcester, most of the time.
Continue with the complimentary.
You know, on the cable.
we
Is that up-
are,
Do
yes,
we have
that's
3 now, or do we
5.
have 2?
I thought they just
Let me
included
just,
Worcester and us for some reason, I don't remember why. We can get that clarified.
3?
Yeah.
Because I usually that, like, the
never-
third one is always like something from Worcester or
my
something.
I just want to jump
Yeah.
on what you said. My concern about just saying or one additional SD channel, that could be a lot easier for them to say, oh, we'll just give
Yeah, I
you an
know.
additional
Like,
SD
somebody
channel.
else mentioned
If
that
we
before.
do, if we say that, I'm almost thinking that we hold that.
That's our counter.
We hold that.
Yeah.
If you're in agreement with
Yeah, I
that.
just noted it because I think Val said it. That wasn't my idea.
Yep, okay. So let me just send this over to Valerie and,
Yeah, she went to her office, so she'll be able to get it. And then we have a sense of what the corrections are, we'll have it printed out so we can confirm that. But if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask, or any additions.
No, I think we should just clean it up, and I think there are a bunch of good ideas. And then, obviously, there'll probably be a counter to it, but
Yeah, well, we'll get it back to the attorney, and as we've reshaped it, and he will move forward on sending it. So we're all set? We've got something?
yeah, I just want to show this.
yeah. I think once they do it, she should just go over it quick, and we make the
That-
vote
that's-
subject.
That's what I'm hoping. They're both agreeing that we've got it. So
Yeah.
Renee, are we ready for you to go down the list?
It doesn't have to be tweaked, you can revise
Yeah.
it as needed.
I'm going to ask for someone to make a motion, and Renee, if you feel like you have it, would you make a motion that we accept the additions, corrections?
Yep, I'll make a motion to.
And if there's
I'll
any that
second
you
it.
think we need to read, or are we all clear on what we've done?
Well, let me read through it
Okay.
just so that everybody's clear
Good.
on what they're voting on.
Good.
And I think
A
Valerie's.
brief summary of those.
Yep, the bullet point 1, 10-year renewal license term. Bullet 2, 4% gross annual revenue. Bullet point number 3, $300,000 capital payable in 3 $100,000 increments in years 1, 3, and 7. 4 is 3 HD channels to replace SD PEG channels. Number 5 is continue 4 courtesy account cable converters to monitor programming and relocate 2 courtesy account cable converters to new high school. I should say continue existing
Do we want to?
for both of those,
Did you want to
right?
move 2 or no? Oh, 1, yeah. 1. He wants to leave the one in the auditorium in case we have events there,
Yeah.
town events. So move 1 existing.
Okay. Okay.
And I think I think Renee, that's good to have existing instead of 4.
Yep. Okay. Not put the number in? So remove the 4 or keep the 4?
When you suggested, I think it reads perfectly fine, continue the existing courtesy account. They ask how many they got, they know how many they got.
Yep.
Yeah, but we did it like that, that's good.
Okay,
Then
and relocate one courtesy account cable, yeah, okay.
Because we know if we don't ask for it, they can take it back at any time, or have it in the contract, I should say.
So I'll be specific and I'll say relocate one courtesy account cable converter from the old high school to the new high school.
Yeah.
Not that way they're gonna pull one from here and
No, or they could just give us a new one and leave the other.
they probably will.
Probably easier.
They probably will do that. Okay. Number 6 is electronic program guide. They might ask us to be specific, but we can address that when they come
Yeah,
back.
currently no listings.
Okay. I could write that next to it.
Yeah, there are no
Currently,
no listings in,
no program list.
TV, in the TV listings
Okay.
for our channels, for local access.
Didn't they have like a program that at one time you had all the
We used to have it,
channels?
yeah. That's what I mean, you could see like 3 days. like
Okay.
just-
Number 7 is senior discount.
We were gonna put in low income senior
Slash low.
I
discount.
did.
Okay.
Okay, so we're all set.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, senior discount, comma, low income discounts
Yeah.
for, I was gonna put for internet.
We don't control the internet, all right, yeah,
for-
just cable.
for cable.
It'd be nice if we could help them with the internet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, eventually they should actually have a contract for that, but. Number 8 is reopen customer service center on Gifford Road, period, no additions to that.
Right.
Number 9 is written commitment to quicker response time to outages, quarterly report of outages, response times, and complaints.
Yeah, nice.
Number 10 is provide written documentation of technical specifications of Westport's cable network.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
That'll keep Don busy. Don had seconded his motion.
that's what you sent.
Yep.
So everyone's heard it. If anyone needs to visually see the words, we have a copy. But I would like, if there's agreement, to have a motion
Okay,
to,
he already
He's
made it,
already-
he seconded.
he's already
Already
moved
did
it.
it.
He's
And
already-
second, we're way ahead
I
of you.
seconded you.
you guys you're running faster. I'm delighted.
I think we
Okay.
should just-
So we have a motion and we have a second?
You might
Yeah.
just want to include in the motion with any revisions as needed to go forward, just within the motion. So
Right.
if it gets tweaked a little, it's not technically.
Okay, all right, if we're assuming that we are all clear what we have revised and what is going to go to the lawyer.
But lawyer might tweak it a little bit.
But the
that's fine.
addition would be if revisions are needed.
Within the scope.
And this will be sent to the lawyer to forward to Charter. Is there, how many people would support that, the motion and second?
Aye.
All in favor, I think. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
unanimous.
Thank you very much. That was an evening of great accomplishment, but we do have one more task that'll probably be a lot harder. We need to plan an open meeting, and according to Attorney Hewitt, the better we can do that by bringing out people. So we're gonna have to work at how we promote it. But I'm gonna suggest a Saturday, because I think that might make it easier, April 11th. Now, I have heard from Bob with dates that won't work for him, which go beyond that. I have heard from Sharon about Thursdays. I have heard from Jim Hartnett about Mondays. And I haven't heard from anybody else if there's favored days. Let's have a conversation. How many people would feel that Saturday is not the day they
Just-
want to do this?
Just check when opening day of baseball is, and make sure it's a week before that.
There's
No, not
always
Major
something.
League Baseball, the kids. Because that's what it's also gonna be.
That's very important.
That's messed up many of our big meetings. We're gonna be with the kids at baseball.
Absolutely.
You wanna find out and try to have a,
Where's the best place
There's
to
also
check
school
that?
vacation in April.
yeah, school vacation. The
It's-
11th?
It's school vacation,
It's
the
close to it.
11th of April. I've just picked the date in the middle of the month.
The 11th is a Tuesday after Easter weekend.
No, it's April, we're talking March.
Oh.
Oh, March
March,
11th.
March.
I thought you said.
If
Yeah,
we,
she did.
if we can't do it, then we may have to move it into April, but
Yeah, March won't be baseball, so yeah, probably any weekend in that month will work.
You're thinking
And,
about
and
a
I just
weekend? You were
threw a
thinking
dart
about
at that, so
a
if
weekend
there's,
public hearing?
okay for you?
No,
Oh.
I'm asking you, you were thinking about a weekend.
I'm thinking Saturday allows us to not have to deal with, early evening. There's meetings, different committees are meeting. Not too many committees meet on Saturday morning.
No, if it's
So
a public
it's just-
thing, you want to make it convenient.
And I don't think we would start it at 8 or 9. We'd probably,
1 to 3 or
look at.
something.
We need to deal with the details, which I don't think we want to take the time to work out. We want a little subcommittee planning on all of that, which we can do by email. But we really do need a date because the lawyer is hoping to include that in this letter to Charter. But if this doesn't work for people, I don't.
I could do it. I could do it, but I doubt you'll get many people on Saturday.
Yeah,
Is there a
If I-
better
if I
time?
was- If I was not on this committee, I wouldn't show up.
on a Saturday.
The thing that we need to do is to have reasons for people to come. And I was looking at Senator Markey's legislation on cable, and I'm thinking maybe we can talk to his office and see if we can get him, it's a really big, important issue for him to get legislation passed that doesn't allow local cable companies to use in-kind services and subtract from the money that they're going to pay. There's a YouTube, and I'm not sure why I clicked on it today, but he makes a really good case, not only for for the legislation, but also for local cable. If we could get somebody with prominence to be part of the program and not just have the program be come and make your complaints. I think the program that we're going to offer the community is, we have a new contract renewal. We'd like you to hear about it. That's interesting enough for some people to know what we're doing.
We didn't-
And people listening tonight have heard some of the numbers we're
We
putting
didn't
out.
get a whole lot, Don was on with me for those years. We had more internet complaints than cable. We only had a couple of cable, so
Yeah.
don't expect a big crowd. I mean, if you want a big crowd, offer pizza and beer, but that's a lot of cleanup, yeah. I mean, expect a handful of people.
The idea of having a strong attendance is that it would give us a little bit more ammunition for the
Right.
contract negotiations.
Yeah.
So,
So one of the things Attorney Euig said was that the intent, and the letter says, we're inviting John Mayer from
Right, yeah.
Charter to attend.
yeah.
I think it would be hard pressed to get him here on a Saturday as well.
That's
Okay.
So I almost think a weeknight might be better.
6-ish.
We've eliminated Monday for the selectmen, we've eliminated Thursday because there's school committee and other meetings. Tuesday, Wednesday,
Every other Tuesday is planning board meeting, and I have to do that.
So
Yeah.
Wednesdays
That-
are.
that's what I'm
And every other
realizing, there's
Tuesday
only
is
5
Concom,
days
that's
without
what I'm saying.
weekends.
Yeah, use the second Wednesday like we normally would
Yeah,
meet.
Wednesday, yeah.
Second Wednesday of March
The
is,
8th.
I'm in
Well, the
February.
8th, isn't there supposed to be a
Yeah.
candidates thing or
Be
something?
the
I-
21st,
Maybe the 15th.
15th.
I think we gotta give them,
15th 's
I-
better.
we have to give them a little bit of notice.
Yeah,
too,
I don't think we
because-
could pull this off
By the 8th.
in 2. I think the closest we could do is the 15th, Bob's away.
Okay.
I mean, clearly, you're indispensable, so
Are you away
you'll
the
have to
22nd?
stay.
Are you away the 15th, Bob?
You were the 15th.
You're away the
I'm gone
15th?
till April 7th.
Oh. All right.
Yeah. So, and I'm happy if we move it into April, but it has to be early, and,
You might be better
Yeah.
weather too also. March is gonna be a
Wednesday.
transition month, you might get, get a snowstorm and stuff like that. April
For
is,
public input, you don't need me sitting at a table to get public input.
April 7th, a Tuesday.
the 10th is a Friday, but again, I'm not sure that
Yeah.
Friday's any better than Saturday.
April 7th's a Tuesday, so we'd do it on the next, April 8th.
Friday.
April or March?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you said
Oh.
March.
April 7th?
Friday.
The next Wednesday would be at 12th, would be the 12th.
April 12th?
Second Wednesday.
April 12th is a Wednesday.
Okay.
It's after Easter.
7th.
15th?
We would have
Oh, you said
time,
7th.
to see if we can
7th.
make this a big, are we looking at that date? Does that make sense to
Yeah,
people?
the 12th could probably work.
Yep.
You're into spring then. After that,
I'll be on
Yeah.
a plane on the way to Doha,
Ah.
Qatar.
You'll have better weather conditions too.
can you Zoom on a plane? All right. All right, that sounds
We
good. So
need,
shoot
we
for that
need
date.
a way to make, encourage people to come. So that's, I think, what we will do outside of this meeting. I'll talk to you various individuals.
You said the Wednesday, right? I
Are
think the
we,
election's the
are we,
11th.
are we
so-
agreed that we're going to shoot for the
Yeah.
12th of April? Does that work for people?
What
Okay.
time?
Okay, April 12th.
I would say 6.
6 o'clock?
Yeah, that's better for the public. Have supper and babysitter if they, whatever.
Yep.
If we did it earlier,
It's tough.
5 is too early for people?
I would say, because, yeah, you got people coming home, they're trying to.
Yeah,
leave
from
before they-
work.
They get them out of work.
Yeah. Let's say 6, this way there's very few excuses you can't make.
All
at
right,
6.
well then it has to be worth coming out, because 6
Yeah.
o'clock is.
Even
difficult.
6:30 is.
All right,
good-
I'm gonna
better.
talk with all of you via email for ideas. I'm gonna try to sketch out something and see if we can get some headliners to come and make some brief comments.
Sounds good.
Where do you think is the best place to hold this?
Good. What about the new high school for a different venue? What do you guys think? Is that more of a pain to set up, or should
It's
we
not a
have it?
pain at all. no.
Yeah, I don't think we'll fill the room here, so it doesn't really matter, it's just more
We could
central.
do it here. This space is usually one we use, and have standing room only, if you want to opt for that.
Yeah, like I say, the new high school, because they'd be curious too, so you might get more
The
people.
last
Mm-hmm.
public hearing, we had 3 people.
Yeah, and like I say, with ours, it was
Right.
more internet complaints than cable.
All right, well, let's leave the place until we begin to give some shape to why people would come. So I'll work on an outline, I'll share it with people, get your reactions, and see if we can get that together. But thank you for at least coming up with a date that seems far enough away that we might be able to pull this off.
Sounds
And we'll get the letter to the attorney. Thank you all. Is there anything else that we need to discuss this evening?
That's it. Motion to adjourn.
No,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.